It's 1945. We're in a sleepy little town in California. It's a college town, and they're holding themselves a little dance for the recent college graduates and for soldiers returning from World War II. It's a merry affair, featuring the world's smallest big band and a rather modest-sized ballroom in general. But people are having a good time. Then you get this guy. He wants to have an even better time. So he grabs his old lady and convinces her to go to a second location. A gazebo, no less. But they're not alone. Who the heck is this guy? Uh-oh. Hey everybody, it's your boy Ralph, back here at the Ralph Castle, where I review horror movies, even when they're terrible. Like this one, The Prowler from 1981. One of many, many copycat slasher movies that came out on the heels of Friday the 13th. But yeah, The Prowler ain't very good. In fact, I'd call it a bad movie, but not in a fun way, in a boring way. It's not completely without redeeming qualities, so we're gonna get into it. Now the movie actually starts off with one of these old-timey newsreels. This one's about soldiers returning from war, being happy and wanting to dance. But this is a very strange newsreel. The focus is about how some of these GIs, their girlfriends dump them when they get home. Not very uplifting. And then we segue into someone writing a letter to a GI saying, "It ain't gonna work between you and me." So that actually sets up motivation for that first scene that I described in the prologue. But the movie proper takes place in 1980, 81, whenever, who cares. But we're in the same town, and it looks like they're gonna have that same dance. Now, so many of these copycat slasher movies take place around a party of some kind. You know, we got prom night, around a prom. We got Terror Train, around a big old train party. And we got, what's another one? My Bloody Valentine, around the annual dance for a bunch of coal miners. So anyways, they're getting this dance together, and we meet some of our characters. First, we meet these excitable young women over here, putting the dance together. And then we meet their stick-in-the-mud friend Vicky, who's our heroine. Now she's got final girl written all over her face. For one, she don't like to party. She don't like to drink or smoke, get too amorous with young fellas. Classic final girl. Hey, and nothing against somebody who's like that. I am not against people making their own choices about how they treat their body. That's 100% A-okay in Ralph's book. What I don't like are ridiculous cliches in movies. And we meet this other guy, Deputy Mark. Now, Deputy Mark comes off as a bit of a creep in the beginning. But he's Vicky's boyfriend. And he's our hero. So we got a stick in the mud and a creep. And, I'd call that problem number one. But anyways, they go about their business. They have a little chat with Mark's boss, the sheriff, who tells him he's going out of town. Mark is gonna be in charge. And, by the way, there's some violent lunatic on the run who's gonna be near their town very soon. Uh-oh. That's totally not a red herring, by the way. This movie. So Vicky goes back to her dorm room with their little dorm friends and is getting ready for this big party. Good for her. Let's all have a good time, shall we? But this is a slasher movie, so we kinda know where it's gonna go from here. Which is why at this point, we're gonna make an early departure from spoiler-free territory and cross the 38th parallel into Spoilerville. I mean, can you really spoil a typical final girl slasher movie? But let's do it. So Vicky heads out to the dance, leaving her roommate behind in the shower. Another commonality with these movies is they never lack for experiences of showing women in showers. Oh, and here's our guy, Mr. Army Boy. And you're thinking, oh, he's gonna go get this girl over here in the shower. But nope, oh look, it's her boyfriend. But he's gonna go into the other room for a second. Oh, there we go. He goes over to the shower. And now the body count is up to 2. Uh-oh. So now we go over to this party. Looks like a pretty good time. Hey, look, they got a rock and roll band. Hey, and it's Dire Straits featuring frontman Mark Knopfler. Okay, he's just a lookalike. But the band's actually not too bad, you know? This is actually a band called Nowhere Fast. Yeah, hey, why not, you know? The locals seem to be enjoying themselves. Mark takes a little break from his job to go say hi to his girlfriend Vicky, and immediately starts dancing with one of her friends from the dorm. So she's pissed. I'd be pissed, I suppose. Now, I think her friend is the real Prowler of the movie, because she is definitely on the prowl. Anywho, she spills some stuff on her dress and decides to go back to the dorm to put on dress number 2. Always have a backup prom dress. She sees the place has been broken into, but doesn't even check on her friend. This movie has a lot of nonsense like this in it, and I suppose that's problem number 2. People just don't do smart things. You know, you expect that in a slasher movie, but it still annoys me. At least do something sort of okay. Don't be an idiot. So she doesn't find her friend's corpse in the shower, but she does run afoul of Army Jack over here. He starts chasing her around, and every door is locked, but she does get out. She's grabbed by this old man in a wheelchair, and immediately runs into Deputy Mark. Now Deputy Mark says he's gonna look around. He does a terrible job. And then they go to the house of the old guy. Big fancy house. And the movie screeches to a halt because they spend like half the movie wandering around this house and literally nothing happens. You know what, I'm gonna elevate that to problem number 1. So much of this movie is people wandering around and nothing happening. It's not even tense. So they go back to the dance and they tell everybody, you gotta stay in the dance because there's a prowler on the loose. They don't know nothing about the bodies yet though. But the people at the dance, they've got different plans, including the lady prowler. Her plan is to go for a saucy little swim in a nearby swimming pool. And here she is. And here's our boy Army Pete over here. Yep, okay, now body counts up to 3. We go back to the dance, and here's a couple of other folks from Vicky's dorm room. Hey, look, it's this guy. I don't know what his name is, but he liked to play nerds in the 80s. In fact, he was in Prince of Darkness, the very first review I did over here. And they're feeling particularly amorous, and he's got the brilliant idea to go to a filthy, soiled mattress in the basement. This guy knows how to show a girl a good time. And just as they're going at it, some completely random creepazoid is checking them out. Then he goes away, and you know, I'm a viewer. I'm expecting something. Maybe this is the movie choosing to be fancy and undermining my expectations. But literally nothing happens with these two. In fact, we never see them again. Which is good, you know? I don't want them to be dispatched. I want them alive. I want everyone to be alive and happy and well. Sue me. You know, have your lawyer call my lawyer. Send me a cease and desist. Oh, you're too upbeat, Ralph, they tell me. You need to darken your moods. Ralph has some inner darkness, but I wish nothing but wellness upon the world. Okay, enough sentimentality. Hopefully this movie's gonna wrap up. So the chaperone of the dance decides she's gonna go look for that girl who went to the swimming pool. And, yep, here's Army Pete once again. And it is at this point that I want to bring up something rather critical. The one good thing about this movie. One thing I noticed as I was watching it was, oh, the gruesome special effects are really quite good. I was surprised. A lot of these knockoff type slasher movies, they look terrible. It looked like they were using paper mache and red paint. But this looked quite professional. And then at the end of the movie, I'm watching the credits, and look who did it. None other than the absolute master of this stuff, Tom Savini. He's the guy who did Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead, Friday the 13th, countless other movies. A true legend. I would love to watch a documentary about this guy. He's got a real interesting backstory, too. So there you go, the one tick in the favor of the Prowler. Now let's get back to the monotony which comprises the movie itself. So our two lame-o heroes, Vicky and Deputy Mark, follow a lead to a cemetery, find a dug-up grave. Oh, and look who's inside. It's the pool girl. Finally, the cat's out of the bag. There's a killer on the loose. So what's the first thing this guy does when he discovers there's a murderer on the loose in the town? He has a 20-minute phone call trying to get in touch with the elderly sheriff who's on vacation. That's what he does. This scene is interminable. But at some point, they put two and two together and decide to go back to the old man in the wheelchair's house and wander around some more. Now the difference is Army Pete's in the house somewhere. And look at this guy. He's gonna walk right up to the door where Army Pete is. Uh-oh, it's gonna be a confrontation. It's gonna be some action. There's gonna be something happening. But what does he decide to do? Nothing. It's an open door with the light on, and he doesn't even go in. I swear, this movie is trying to do my head in. And now Vicky finds a locket or something in the fireplace, and she's trying to get the locket loose, and... Oh, why that must be the decaying body of the victim from 1945. And now Army Pete's directly after her. She's running around, she can't get out of the house. He's just about to get her. Ooh, look at this. Who's this guy? Oh, we met him earlier. I didn't even bother to bring him up. He's just some nobody in town who just happened to show up and shoot him. Oh, but Army Pete gets him back. There's a little scuffle. And look who it is. It's the sheriff. Okay. Now the movie never explains, is the sheriff the same guy from World War II? He might be around the right age for that. Let's see. He looks about 60. 60 in 1980 would mean 20s in World War II. He could be the guy, but they never say it. They never say why it's the sheriff. It's so frustrating. And then she does this to him. You know, and then there's always that peace and quiet towards the end. And Vicky goes back to her apartment, and they try to set up suspense. We know it's waiting for her. And poor Vicky, she's had a rough night, and she goes in and finds both these guys in the shower. And there we are. We see it was directed by Joey Zito, friend of the channel. Yeah, ugh, gross, waste of time. So this movie is kind of end to end with, you know, slasher movie cliches, including one of my least favorite, which is pointless fake out jump scares. That was fun, right? Okay. Alright, so this movie I'm gonna give 1.5 stars. The movie itself is an absolute slog. But I give it a little bit of credit because Tom Savini is a master of the craft. You know, go to the YouTube search bar and put all kills from the Prowler 1981. See what pops up. That 3-minute video is a lot more entertaining than this. You know, I really don't want to just review some awful movie unless it's entertaining in some way, and this wasn't. You know, I feel like I've gone on and on. I gotta do something to improve my mood now. You know what? It's a beautiful day outside. I think I'm gonna get some fresh air. Okay, everybody, take care. Bye.